How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Big J's podcast show here tonight, live on YouTube, trying something just a little bit different. Hope everybody's doing well. Sitting here in the home ripping studio. This is on the other side of the camera tonight. If you are normally tuning in from our breaks over on Facebook, it may look a little different, but hey, that's okay. Hope everybody's doing well. You will probably more than likely be re-watching this, but I did want to go ahead and do a show here. We're not ripping cards tonight, but do want to talk about the trade deadline because, man, playoff race is being reshaped here. Star players moving to major markets. You see some up here on the board. Skubal to the Dodgers, Rutschman to the Red Sox. I mean, it's a lot of stuff going on here, and it's worth talking about. So sorting through some of those big trades and maybe what it's going to look like to you guys as collectors. And hey, like it or not, the Dodgers are doing what the Dodgers do. And I'm not a huge fan of this mess, but hey, Dodgers receive Skubal, and I was talking to a buddy of mine today. Let's just face it, the Tigers probably got what they could, you know, out of this one. They got Hope, River Ryan, Brady Smith. Hope's ranked number 25 in the MILB or MLB pipeline. Ryan is ranked 68. So they got two top 100 prospects. They were going to lose Skubal at the end. This is more than a bag of chips. I think some guys maybe have described it as, they got a bag of chips for Skubal at the end of the day. But hey, I think the Tigers got some stuff back. But man, did the Dodgers do what the Dodgers do. They got, maybe that final piece for, maybe a championship again. Who knows? But, I think honestly they're just adding depth. Like they're just adding depth is all they're doing here. And Skubal, is his elbow going to hold up? Who knows? But Hope is going to send a little bit of hope to the Tigers, right? He maybe some elite prospect potential from the Dodgers system. Honestly, I don't think the Tigers even got the best Dodgers prospect, but here we are here with Hope. But honestly, was he worth the price? I don't know. If the Dodgers don't win a championship here, do they look bad making this trade? I think time's gonna tell with that. But if we're looking at this from a hobby angle, man, Scooble goes and is, let's just say he's a World Series ace. He gets an MVP, does some just crazy stuff. His cards are gonna absolutely skyrocket if he is healthy in October and helping these guys get over the hump and win another championship. If you're looking on the flip side, Hope, his cards are losing. Like they're going to go down. Dodgers logo, that's a premium. He may get some opportunity in Detroit, but let's just face it, not a lot of hope for Hope's cards there. Tigers prospects, at the end of the day, they don't pull a ton when it comes to, hey, just having that Dodgers on the front. Tigers just don't quite do it. So, hey, maybe this makes Tigers a bigger prospect name in future breaks because you've got some of these guys in there, but that's going to have to wait until they're in that. We're probably looking at 27 Bowman before we start looking at these guys making it into product. And who knows what 27 Bowman's even going to look like, right? So the Dodgers, they've lost hope as a prospect, but they're definitely gaining big in the way of Skubal. So at this point, I think if you're looking at this from a hobby perspective, and you're sitting there with Skubal cards, his value just went way up. And Skubal stuff over the recent weeks was very affordable. So hopefully you guys got in on some Skubal, especially non-PSA cards. You go to SGC, BGS. I mean, some of those guys, if you're looking graded, even ungraded numbered rookie autographs. I mean, you're looking at they were affordable a few weeks ago. Probably not anymore. So yeah, Scooble cards definitely on the rise. Hope cards and all these other prospects on the way down. So maybe a buy opportunity for those guys when they tank, but who knows? All right, Boston. Are you a Boston fan? Making some big bold position player moves. We're not talking about bringing in arms. They're actually sending arms packing. They got Adley Rutschman, Jake Rogers, and some cash. Baltimore. They got some pitching. And I was actually in Baltimore a couple weeks ago watching some games. They could use some pitching desperately. They need some hitting as well. I mean, man, these guys are just falling apart. But they got Anthony Yason, Kyson Witherspoon, an outfielder, catcher Carlos Navarez, player to be named later. Is kind of the whole like bag of chips thing headed over. But hey, they got Boston's number one prospect there with Yason, number 49 overall prospect in the majors. So didn't get just nothing back there, but he's not Adley Rutschman either. Adley struggled to stay healthy recently. We'll see if he even can make an impact in Boston immediately. I'm not sure this is an immediate impact for Boston, but why was Baltimore willing to move him? He was supposed to be the face of the franchise, right? Didn't pan out that way. So I think that's big. One of our biggest questions that needs to be answered. And if you're Boston, you're a Boston fan, why was Baltimore willing to move a guy who Elias just a couple weeks ago said, you know, I want to lock this guy up for life. I want this guy to be an Oriole for life, and here they are moving him. So, maybe there's something underlying there, or maybe Elias is feeling the heat because he's definitely changed how Baltimore operates, and it's not paying off. They got all these big name young guns, and let's just face it, guys, it's not panning out. And so Adley, he's not just any old catcher. The guy's got big bat potential. Former number one pick. Guys are, from a collector standpoint, I got a whole stash of that guy back here. I got cards I'd love for this dude to pop off because I'm gonna sell it. We'll sell it all. One of you guys let me know. I'll send it all to you. But hey, he's not just another catcher. He's got big bat potential. The trade did happen within the division, so there's going to be some emotion there. Like normally you don't see a trade like this going on inside the division. You try to get a guy like Adley, send him out west to the NL or something. But hey, Jansen, Witherspoon, you got Boston's number 1, 6, and 7 prospects coming over to Baltimore. They're going to have a little chip on their shoulder. This is some legitimate prospects. Elias is known for this, but let's just face it, some of their young guys aren't really panning out either. So you don't have just a bunch of lottery tickets coming over. You got some legit prospects. What are you going to do with these guys? So, hey, if you're a Red Sox collector, you're going to find some buying opportunities for Adley. If you're holding some Adley, now's maybe the time to start getting rid of some, especially if these prices go up and he's not even done anything. So, you're going to get an immediate Red Sox bump here just because he's changed uniform. His Baltimore cards, there's true rookies, right? So, he's got plenty of those. Now, at the end of the day, Baltimore, they don't necessarily pull the premium on cards as the Red Sox. So these prospects headed to Baltimore. Maybe they've gone down a tick in value at this point. But who knows? What do you guys think? The move to Boston, does it help Adley's hobby value? Or has the market already decided this dude is not the player we're looking for? And, the floor is already there. I think he's going to get a little bit of a bump. Now how big of a bump, I don't know. If you've got some nice stuff, you might be able to go ahead and get rid of it. But I'm not seeing like just a massive, up and to the right kind of trajectory for Adley. So some bump there. Probably the biggest move here is going to be on the losing side for those prospects headed to Baltimore. Could be wrong. Time's going to tell for them. All right. Moving on, those were the top two, but the Cubs have added some pitching. They got Kevin Gosman, nice addition there for the Cubs. Clay Holmes, Braxton Garrett, Aaron Savale. The deadline season was kind to the Cubs pitching. The players that were headed out, I mean, there's not a ton of not a ton of heartburn there. You know, looking down the names, me personally, Moises Ballesteros, I like the guy, good bat, but he's a DH, right? Like he doesn't do a whole lot. The Cubs didn't go after just one ace in this. They wanted a whole lot of pitching, and they got it. And they got some good stuff. So, you know, Gosman, he's a veteran. He's going to have some rotation credibility there. He's going to be able to eat innings, get guys out. Holmes brings in some flexibility. Garrett, Savale, additional innings and depth there. They can chew up innings. You can start them, bring them out of the pen when you need some middle relief. And, you know, Zephyron, he helps the bullpen there. So maybe quantity over high quality, right? So we've got a lot of quantity here. Quality is kind of middle of the road, in my opinion. You know, you've got some middle of the road quality here in pitching. But the Cubs, when they're looking at October, they didn't hang their hat on one dude. They're like, I got a dude here, I got a dude there, I got another dude over here. That's what I'm looking for. So that's where the Cubs are at. And yeah, who knows there. But the Cubs are looking long term into October, seeing if that can pay dividends. Now, they did get rid of some recognizable prospects here. Ballesteros, Rojas, those guys have featured prominently, you know, and so they're names that people are going to know. If you're looking at this from a hobby standpoint, I don't know. You know, there's nothing here that really I think gets a big bump at any of it. If you were a Ballesteros collector, I don't know. You know, you got a couple cards there. I'm not seeing anything super big on the hobby side, but I think the impact here is not necessarily related to the baseball card hobby. The impact is actually on the field. And so, did Chicago give themselves some depth there on the pitching side that can help them make a run at the championship? And I think we all know that the championships and the majors, they are definitely won and lost by the pitching staff and who can go the deepest there. So, did they build a championship winning staff? Time's going to tell. What do you guys think? Would love some feedback on that. Or did they give up too much of the future? I don't necessarily think so here. I don't get a lot of heartburn with what they gave up. A couple names there: Ballesteros, Rojas. Nothing crazy. On the flip side, there, you know, you got the Angels. They kind of went shopping, you know, during this time. They got Nimala, Micheletti Jr., Angel Rivero, Cozart, Ballesteros, Mason McGuire, Nacho Alvarez, Angel Arenado. They did multiple deals. Nimala, number 43 prospect overall in the major league pipeline. And here at the end, all these prospects, guys, you know, I really feel like the Angels are looking to the future, and maybe not depth at the major league level this year, but they're looking at guys that could help them in the future. So this, if you're a prospect hunter, maybe this is the team that you're like, all right, let me go ahead and pick up some first Bowmans of these cats, maybe find a couple parallels, a nice refractor, you know, and get some sharp cards of these dudes, put them in a box, pull it out 3 or 4 years later, and you never know. You know, Nimala, he's definitely the headliner here. Toronto traded him, part of the Soriano deal, and he immediately he's probably that most important name in the Angels farm system. Ballesteros, that's a major league offensive bat ready to go. Can he play the field and not be a liability? Who knows? You know, I like the big guy though. Can play catcher. I think a little bit of first base. Obviously a DH. You know, but here's the thing. We see this time and time again with the Angels. They get these prospects. can they do anything with them? And at the end of the day, if we're looking at this from on the field now, it doesn't pay. On the field later, the Angels don't have a good track record. And for the hobby, if it ain't named Mike Trout, and even that's not huge anymore, right? So like his cards not rookie cards not selling for stupid money all the time like it used to. But hey, maybe we're looking at a bump in breaks if you're looking at prospect products like Bowman next year. If you're playing fantasy baseball and you're into dynasty formats, these are some names you might take a look at. Did the Angels finally move in a direction that's somewhat coherent? I don't know. I mean, like, let's just pick up a lot of prospects and pray it all works out. I'm not sure that any of this works, but it's the Angels. They're going to give it a try. And best of luck to you if you're an Angels fan. So, yeah, keep working on that. All right, Philadelphia. Bryce Harper says, we need help. We need help now. Go get us some help. And so what they do, they went and got Luis Arias, Caleb Killian, Brooks Raley, and yeah. Does any of that excite me? Honestly, I like Arias. I like the dude. He can hit. He hits for contact, not power. He gets on base. He's not super exciting, but if you like batting average, I mean, you play the game to hit the ball. The guy hits the ball, right? So high contact. Maybe this is what they need. I just, it's interesting stuff here. It is interesting. He's elite contact. I've seen the guy play a few times in person, and yeah, he just puts the bat on the ball and finds space and gets down to first base. From there, it's up to the guys behind him to get around. So the Phillies didn't necessarily change the team identity here. They're just making that lineup harder and harder for pitchers on the opposing team. And so pitchers, you can't pitch around guys in this lineup. They're going to make you pay, and it starts with Arias. He's on a contender now. You never know what's going to happen in the postseason. So do you take a flyer, pick up some Luis Arias cards to hold? Yeah, I mean, I could think of worse ways to spend your money. So some Arias rookies, maybe gold parallel, rainbow full. Those things are always readily available out there. Some Bowman refractors, some simple cards to pick up there. I don't have my research on me for the autographs for Luis Arias, but I'd have to say they're not super expensive. So if you're just a collector, these are going to be easy cards to pick up. If you want to do some prospecting for October, Luis Arias could be one that gets an October bump. I doubt he sees a huge market increase right now, so I think maybe it's a good time to pick him up. I don't know. What say you? Buy a couple Luis Arias cards. Maybe he is, to me, he's been underrated from a baseball card collector standpoint. Take a flyer on the guy. Put $100 into him, and who knows? You could. I don't think you're going to lose money here. How about that? I don't think you're going to lose money on Luis Arias. Do you make a ton of money in October? I don't know, but I'd be willing to put $100 bet on this guy. Pick up a few cards. Maybe that's what I'll do when I get off the air here tonight. Is grab some Luis Arias and come back to y'all in October and say, didn't lose $100, but I didn't gain 100 either. San Diego, man, they keep just pushing forward. Is it finally going to pay off? I don't know, but I do like some of the moves that are being made on the pitching side. Robbie Ray, guy, man, he's been throwing heat for years. Casey Mize, prospect pedigree, a little banged up early on with the Tigers at the major league level. Gage Workman, Hunter Stratton. They did send away Miguel Mendez, Joniel or Yaniel Hernandez, Cash Mayfield, Jackson Wolf, Andrew Moore. I'm not super upset about any of that. I'm more excited about what they got back in return. Do they have some farm system concerns? Sure, these guys are always shipping guys off from the farm. But they are behaving like a club that expects to contend. They are wanting to win. Robbie Ray, Casey Mize, big upside bets here. They are not completely safe though. Both of those guys can get hurt, drop of a hat. So you do have to keep an eye there on Ray and Mize. It's a gamble at the end of the day, but is the risk worth the reward? I think if you're the Padres, you might as well go ahead and do it and see what you can do in the postseason. Like we talked about earlier, pitching is gonna win. Now, Cash Mayfield, he may matter more later than today. So he's headed out to Detroit. Detroit gets another pitching prospect at the deadline, and they're just kind of reloading here. That's the whole Detroit way, right? Is we get these big name guys, we get these big arms, we take them to the last year of arbitration, and then we send them out. So Mize, maybe he benefits from the change of scenery. He's in a friendly ballpark there in San Diego. If we're looking at the hobby aspect of this, maybe Mize gets a little bit of a bump down the line. Maybe Robbie Ray's cards. Honestly, like we're looking at pitchers, they're pretty affordable. These two guys are fairly cheap. Mayfield goes back to Detroit. Like we talked about Detroit earlier in the show, and Detroit is not a team that pulls a hobby premium. They've got some die-hard fans and collectors, but they're not going to get a big name bump. So Mayfield headed up to Detroit. Maybe that's some cards that we monitor, but I wouldn't overpay for Mayfield cards at this point. And at the end of the day, if you're breaking and you pull the Padres, I feel bad for guys that are getting the Padres in my breaks right now on the randoms because there just ain't nothing there. There's nothing for them. I'm just like, man, that's a throwaway. But typically on the breaks, so we're talking breaks a little bit here. We do pick your team. You pick one team, you get two in the random, all for one low price. Try to keep everything in that $30 to $35 or less range. So come join us, National Sports Card Group on Facebook. The Yankees, some quiet moves, some sensible moves. My personal favorite team are the Nationals, and my Luis Garcia got shipped up to the Yankees. Now, I think that's honestly a smart move for the Nationals. Garcia having a career year. Maybe he's somebody that can step into the spotlight there in New York, be a bat that they can really count on down the stretch. Washington got 4 pitchers back. San Francisco sent Helio Ramos. That's a former prospect right there, big prospect pedigree, up to the Yankees as well. San Francisco got Henry Lalonde and Caden Kent for him. But yeah, so you've got possibly a first base DH in Garcia. Garcia struggled mightily when he was playing second base, though, so you got to keep an eye on that. If they put him back at second base, his bat is going to struggle because he's got to work really hard on being a good second baseman, and it takes time away from him at the plate. The move to first base and DH has been huge for his bat, and so got to keep an eye on that. If you see them move him to second, his bat's in trouble. You heard it here. Big J's. All right. Beyond that, Ramos, good outfield option there for the Yankees. Now, if we're talking hobby here, I'm gonna get a lot of stuff out of my box here with Garcia's name on it, and I'm gonna send it packing to some unsuspecting Yankees fan that wants to buy it on eBay. I think these guys get a bump. I think it's a quick bump, and then time's gonna tell. So if you think that Garcia is going to keep it going and be somebody that helps him in the playoffs, go ahead and hold his stuff for now. Ramos, I might would go ahead and ditch it if you see them getting a bump there. So yeah, I think maybe as a fan, if you thought that the Yankees needed more pitching, you're not real happy about these moves, but I think these moves may pay off for the Yankees. So yeah, take a flyer there on some Luis Garcia stuff if you're a Yankees fan. And if you got Luis Garcia stuff, I'd be willing to sell at this point. You're selling high. for Garcia. Now, we'll get down to Cleveland. Cleveland made three interesting moves. I was really surprised by Cleveland. They're not buyers, but man, they are in this thing, and and they bought this year. That's not the typical way for Cleveland. But they picked up Joe Adell, Nathaniel Lowe, and Foster Griffin. And so they're putting some pieces together for the playoffs that I think could really pay dividends. Personally, I've always liked Joe Adell. The guy at the major league level, though, has just not made it. I've got a whole stack of his stuff over here: autographs, base, parallels, all sorts of fun stuff. He's got the power. He's got athleticism. He's got the hobby name recognition. Um, and now he's with a team that knows how to develop young players. Now, I wouldn't say Adele is young anymore. He's been in the league for a while. But daggone, if Cleveland can't do anything with you, Joe, you got to go. You need to head on to the house, okay? So I do think Joe Adele, this is kind of put up or shut up for him. And if you've been holding your Joe Adele cards for the hobby, I think Cleveland may be the place where he takes off. Who knows? We'll see. Can Cleveland unlock these tools of success? Maybe, maybe. Nathaniel Lowe. Hey, floor of the lineup just got better for Cleveland. He ain't flashy, not a flashy guy, but this guy can play baseball. Nathaniel Lowe, keep an eye on how he supports the the Guardians there, and then Foster Griffin. Man, my Nationals sent that dude packing. Jeez, and this just makes Cleveland better. Just makes their bullpen better. Foster Griffin, I like the arm. Good stuff there. So Adele, classic change of scenery. Does he get a bounce? I think he's a candidate for a bounce here. His rookie cards, his stuff's pretty inexpensive. He's got the original prospect hype. If he takes off, the cards are going to go with it. I really think, maybe you don't go crazy here, but if you're in the market for a few cards, Joe Adele may be a guy you buy low on and hang out for. Um, Cozart went to the Angels. Legitimate prospect there. Maybe, maybe if you're an Indians or Guardians guy and you got Cozart stuff, go ahead and maybe send it to some Angels fans. But hey, is Joe Adele still young enough and talented enough for the Guardians to do something with him, and then for collectors to actually care at the end of the day? So time will tell. Now, which teams bought, sold, or tried both here? If we're looking at aggressive buyers, you definitely have to say the Dodgers, they landed Skubal. We didn't even talk about Chris Bubich because we were stuck on Skubal during the Dodgers segment there. Um, Big buyers. Dodgers are the reason why we're going to have a lockout next year because of stuff like this. Cubs, they got a lot of pitchers. A lot of pitchers. Pitchers win championships, and they went and got a lot of them. If they break one or two in the process, hey, we got a lot of them. Red Sox, man, Rutschman, there had been talk. Where's Rutschman going? Are they actually going to trade Rutschman? Red Sox got him. Big move there on the buy. Padres added those two recognizable starters there in Robbie Ray. And so, the Guardians improved a little bit everywhere. The Phillies, Reyes, Sellers, the Tigers, man, the Tigers said, Flash, gone, Skubal, Mize. They got Hope, Ryan Smith, Mayfield, Wolf in return. So prospects there. They're on the Sellers. They're not retoolers. Giants, they moved to Rice, Ray, Ramos, Eric Miller. Got some prospects. We didn't even talk about Marcelo Mayer. Marcelo Mayer got sent to the Giants here, guys. Marcelo Mayer was one of those can't-miss Boston prospects. What in the world is going on? Didn't even chat about that in that segment there earlier. The Orioles, Rutschman, Ward, Tyler Wells. Thank the good Lord Dean Kramer's gone. He's out of there. I don't necessarily dislike any of this. I don't dislike the sales that they got here, I think they can still win with what they got back in return, what they have. I don't think that they're completely out of this. So if you're an O's fan, I don't think you're super mad about this. Rutschman's been hurt, I mean, Dean Kramer's